Good morning. I'm Amandalina Laterio with Castanet Kamloops. I'm joined by BC NDP leader John Horgan, live for a one-on-one interview at Thompson Rivers University. Let's get right into it. The two Kamloops ridings have been held by the BC Liberals for a long time. What makes you think the NDP can win a seat here?
Well, you're always looking for support and going to communities to say, this is what we have to offer during an election campaign. I think Anna and Sadie are outstanding candidates, and I think it's time for change in Kamloops, quite frankly. I think we need to revitalize our institutions. Our legislature needs to have new eyes and new ears. I'm excited about our candidates. I'm excited about our team.
During Sadie's candidacy announcement, she made it known that running for MLA was not on her radar. And the same could be gleaned from Anna's press conference. Did the NDP have a hard time getting candidates to run in Kamloops?
Well, no, this was an election that we weren't expecting, as we weren't expecting COVID-19. This year has been unlike any in our history. We looked at the situation, and I made a decision to call an election because I believe we need to put the politics and the election behind us and focus for the next 4 years on the needs of the people in Kamloops and in British Columbia. I'm very grateful that Anna and Sadie put their lives on hold to run here, and I'm confident that they're going to be successful.
When asked about breaking the confidence and supply agreement with the BC Greens, you've said that it is never a bad time to ask British Columbians how they feel. However, at the end of the day, you still broke the agreement. Why should British Columbians trust that you won't go back on your word again?
Well, it's not about the confidence of the legislature, but the confidence of British Columbians. It's been 3.5 years since the last election. As I said, no one expected to be in a pandemic. When we came to an agreement with the Green Party caucus, there was no contemplation of COVID-19. We've accomplished almost everything that was in the agreement. Mr. Weaver, who was the leader at the time we signed the agreement, is leaving politics. It seemed to me we should get the election behind us and, again, as I say, focus on the next 4 years, not the next few months. And this is a critical time in our history, a critical time in our communities, and I believe, as I've said many times, it's never a bad idea to say, here are the choices, British Columbians. Where do you want to go, and who do you want to lead you?
It's been over a year since Crest Elementary was destroyed in a fire. If elected, will your government announce a replacement?
We will be building schools and hospitals all around British Columbia. We put another $9 billion in our platform to go into building up British Columbia. That means schools, hospitals, a new cancer centre here in Kamloops. The urgent primary care centre that's already here is the template for other communities right across British Columbia. We're committed to making sure the services that people need are there for them when they need them. I think this pandemic has brought home very clearly that public services are the highest priority British Columbians have.
Any plans for Crest specifically?
Well, I have to look at the entire capital budget. I know that we're building a new school here, some $42 million. We're going to be building more. The school needs to be replaced. I'm fairly confident it'll be in the capital plan, but I can't give a specific answer to the question until I look at what the details are in the Ministry of Education. The board here, of course, if the board makes that their highest priority, we'll follow through and get it done.
Where has BC excelled in COVID-19 response, and where has it failed?
Well, I'm pretty pleased with the whole process. Dr. Bonnie Henry is renowned not just across Canada now, but internationally as a world leader in our approach to COVID-19. Her and my colleague Adrian Dix have been just outstanding, and I've been taking a back seat, letting them do the talking, letting the science direct where we go. We have the lowest mortality rate of any jurisdiction of our size. We're the best in Canada at responding, but that doesn't mean we're out of the woods. We're going to be in a pandemic for the foreseeable future, and that means we all have to continue to do best practices, physical distancing, masks when we can't be too far apart, where we're not, if we're inside for sure. And that I think is the strength of what we've been able to accomplish here. Is British Columbians responded to Dr. Henry and her appeal. We've been following those directions, and we've got good results as a consequence. Now, where have we failed? I wouldn't say failed. I think there are areas where we can do better, and that's always there, regardless of COVID-19. We can always do better in public life. You take steps forward when you get a response from the public. You need to respond back with new policies that have an eye to making sure life's better for British Columbians, and that's what we'll continue to do.
One thing we wanted to bring up was the seniors in long-term care homes. Obviously, a lot of them are feeling abandoned. A lot of people feel like maybe the protocols for that are a bit cloudy. What would you say about that?
Well, that's an area where Dr. Henry is always grappling with. I mean, I know that if you've got a loved one in long-term care, it's quality of life for everyone in that stage of your life. Elders want to be with their families, but there's such a high risk, and the majority of the deaths we've seen from COVID-19 have been in long-term care facilities. So the protocols are in place for a reason. We want to keep people safe. We had to bring in a whole bunch of initiatives to backstop Liberal policies that meant that we were understaffed. 9 out of 10 care homes in British Columbia did not have the staff they needed to meet the requirements of care for our elders in these last years of their life. So we're going to hire another 7,000 care aides so that we've got enough people in our care homes. That will help us process family visits to make sure that they can be as safe as possible as well. More people mean more access, and we're committed to doing that in the weeks and months ahead.
Overdose stats per capita are high in the interior, and it is lacking resources. Just a handful of treatment beds and hardly for any youth. Overdose is killing people at a rate that dwarfs COVID-19, but there have been just incremental steps taken by the government so far. If elected, what will your government do to bring those numbers down in the interior?
Well, we were the first government in Canada to appoint a standalone minister of mental health and addictions, and that saw that the death rate from opioid overdoses go down in 2018 and 2019. When the pandemic hit, a whole bunch of things conspired against us to do the successful things that we had been doing. Firstly, shelter beds were no longer available. So that meant people were being alone rather than with someone else. So if you're alone and you're using, the chances of you overdosing are greater. We closed the borders. That meant that more poisons are being put into the supply of drugs, and that means there's more overdoses as a result. So what we've done to respond to that is we've accelerated our prescription alternatives program. Dr. Henry recommended that back in 2019. We're urging the federal government to decriminalize simple possession so that we can get our law enforcement to focus on those that are pushing poison into people. That's the challenge on the law enforcement side. We need to treat people with addictions and mental health challenges as patients, not as criminals. And so we're going to redouble those efforts. We have already started building more treatment beds to meet the need, youth treatment beds as well as those for regular people in the population. Lots is done, but we need certainly to do more.
And lastly, anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I'm excited to be in Kamloops. I'm excited about our candidates. I'm excited about change in our legislature. I've tried as best as I can to have a slate of candidates that are as diverse as the people that they want to represent. We've got young candidates, 53% are women, people of color. The range of people in British Columbia are reflected in my list of candidates, and I think that's what we need to do in all of our public institutions, not just our legislatures, but our public service, law enforcement, firefighters, and others, so that people understand that systemic racism does exist. We need to eradicate that by demonstrating that we are a diverse and dynamic community. Those are the things I've been focusing on over the past couple of weeks, and I want to keep doing that for the next couple of years. Trying to keep people safe, making sure that everyone is reminded we're in a pandemic. It may not feel that way some days, but we are, and we will be for the foreseeable future.
Speaking of being in Kamloops, this is a nice view, isn't it?
Beautiful. It's great to be at TRU. I always love coming here, and on a day like today, you can't beat it.
Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us.
Thank you.
For Castanet Kamloops, I'm Amandalina Laterrio.